Hi friends, hi, how's it going? Hopefully today finds you well. Today we're doing the next installment in my palette roulette series in which I review a palette that I have in my collection that maybe you also have in your collection, give you some thoughts and opinions on the experiences that I had over a week of solid use with said palette. So not a first impression. I myself hate listening to first impressions and people saying this is a great palette. You don't know. This is your first impression. So with that said, I make sure that I use every single shade in the palette. I come back to you. I talk to you about my experiences with said palette, what I find works best, what I find doesn't work at all, and then we move on. We pull another palette, and then I come back to you next week. I'm here every week doing this. And well, for the most part, I think I missed a couple weeks here and there over the last like 3 years, but I've been doing this for quite some time. So I hope that you find that this is something that you enjoy, that you love watching, and that you subscribe before you go. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. So happy to meet you. I am a lover of all things colorful, high-end beauty and self-care, and I am here as a lady of a certain age who's told that you cannot, you should not, please do not, you're too old, to tell you who cares. Who cares about what they say? Do what soothes your soul. I'm going to be here doing what soothes my soul. My motto for the channel is you do you boo. I'm also going to do me boo. And we will lock arms in this life and walk through this journey together because I always want to be here to support you in whatever venture soothes your soul. Let's jump into the palette. Today we actually have two palettes, and these are the Fenty Snap Shadows. So Fenty is a brand that I really do enjoy, I really do love, and when the Moroccan Spice, I think, eyeshadow palette came out, it was one I wanted, but wasn't really too sure about, and at that point in time didn't really have the money just to say, hey, yes, I want this, you know, $50 eyeshadow palette. I believe at a later date it did come out in a Fenty Takeover BoxyCharm box, and that was right after I had canceled my BoxyCharm. It made me want to sign up for BoxyCharm again, but I didn't, and I didn't get that shadow palette. So when these little snap shadows came out, I was just waiting for the right one to come out, and the right one did come out. It would have been this one, number 10, and the name on this one is Money, and it is a solid green, like monochromatic palette. When you purchase them, however, if you purchase 2 at a time, you get a little bit of discount on them. So in for a good discount, I did purchase number 4 as well, which is called Rose, and this is what it looks like. I do love pinks, corals, purples on my eyes. My favorite color is green, so I did buy them both at that time so that I could get a discount. So with that said, these are $25 a piece, but if you buy 2 at a time, you do get a $5 discount. The shadow palettes come separate like this, and then the names of the shadows are on the back of the palette, and then you can just click them together like this, which makes for a really nice travelable 12-pan palette. I didn't really think that that was a horrible price tag. I do pay that for ABH palettes, and those are 14 pans. There are 0.21 ounces of product in each one of the palettes. The 6 pans of shadow in each one of these have 0.035 ounces of product in each one of the pans. If I am not mistaken, I do think that they are exactly the same size as an ABH shadow pan. These do have a 4.4 star rating on Google with just under 1,200 reviews. I think there are 1,148 reviews on the Google website. They do have a 3.8 star review at Sephora with 308 reviews, and a 4.5 star on Fenty with 587 reviews. I did really take warmth in my heart on the fact that Fenty does have a 4.5 star rating, not a 5-star rating, and that it very much mimicked a Google rating of 4.4. I found it very odd that the Sephora rating was so low compared to both Fenty and Google. For me, these would probably rank right up there in the 3.5 to 4 point rating. I wouldn't rank them any higher than 4-point stars. So each one of these palettes is 6 pans. There were 11 different options to choose from at one point in time. There are currently 8, I do believe, and I'll get into that in a second. The formulations in each one of these little monochromatic shadow palettes range from matte to shimmer, and then include a glitter in a lot of them. I think I only have one palette. The number 4 palette does have a glitter in it. I talked about the $5 discount when you buy 2. Sephora and Fenty both have that discount as an option. So no matter where you choose to purchase the Snap Shadows from, you will get that $5 discount if you purchase 2 at a time. They are cruelty-free and gluten-free. Sephora sells numbers 1 through 7 and number 9, and Fenty sells numbers 1 through 7 and 9 and 10. So if you wanted 10, you would have to go to Fenty to purchase it. Number 8 is not on either one of those websites for sale, and I think it maybe has been discontinued. It was a pastel option. There was an 11th option. I do believe that that was strictly for the holiday season. It was called Hollow Days, and it didn't have a number on it as far as I can tell. These are slated to be rich and blendable shadows and long wearing. The glitters are slated to be especially long wearing glitters. The mattes are dry and chalky. They definitely are. I felt like they weren't super pigmented either, so you just had to continue to work at them to get the pigmentation to show up. As you blended them away, the pigmentation went away and the shadow became patchy. And then you would have to pack on more shadow to like get that color back into your eye look. And then as you blended it away, where the initial layer of shadow had been patchy, it just continues to be patchy. It exacerbates texture in a way I don't think I've ever seen before out of my higher end shadows. I did see that kind of reaction from like a ColourPop or a Morphe shadow, and y'all know I don't love Morphe shadows. I would say Morphe shadows are better than these shadows. I think that they produced a really nice eye look, but then again, that nice eye look came at the expense of all of the texture on my eyes showing up and me having to pack shadow on without actually blending it, because as soon as you started to blend it, it went away. With that said, even with a primer on, these shadows only lasted on my eyes before significant fading about 2 hours. So I couldn't even wear them to work without knowing that they would be gone at the end of the day. By 6 hours in, you couldn't even tell I had eyeshadow or had placed eyeshadow on my eyes. Yesterday I wore a mostly matte eye look with the pink palette, the number 4 palette. I did pack the glitter onto the inner corner of my eye, which I have to say, these glitters did last long. I did not see a whole lot of fallout with these glitters as long as you were packing it. If you tried to blend into the glitter at all, you did get glitter fallout all over your face, and it didn't last as long. The glitter just kind of went away if you tried to blend it all. So packing the glitter into the inner corner of my eye look, by the end of the day, you could see my eyeliner and you could see remnants of the glitter on the inner corner, but you could not tell I was wearing any other colors on my eye, and I had almost every shade out of the number 4 palette on my eye look. The shimmers and glitters are just okay. They're a very mundane. There is no like oomph to them. There is no like beauty that like is to speak of. In the shimmers, I don't think that they're bad necessarily, but I also don't think that they're anything that I would reach for in my collection over another shimmer. The glitter did kind of blow me away as far as not getting glitter all over my face. I didn't see any kind of remnants of glitter throughout the day, so that did kind of blow me away, but none of these are as impactful as I had hoped they would be as a shimmer on my eye. I had assumed that this brand was capable of much more when it comes to shimmers, because you all know Fenty highlighters, their kilowatt highlighters are one of my favorite highlighters, and if they can do that with a highlighter that goes on your face, why can't they do that with a shimmer that goes on your eye? I just did not find that these performed in the way I wanted them to perform. Fallout is minimal, but it does exist with the shimmers, and it exists more from like a chunky aspect than a like a little bits aspect, so it's super easy to kind of like wash away if you need to. I did find that the shimmers worked best wet. I also found that they worked best with your finger other than any other kind of brush that you might use to put them on. All of them except for one, I believe the Cadet one has a little more of a non-monochromatic color scheme to it, but all of the palettes are considered monochromatic palettes. They all have 6 shades. They all have a good mix of formulas in those 6 pans. So you're going to get, you know, a pretty good mix of mattes and shimmers depending on what you want. If you know that you have a certain color that you like to use or two, and you know that you don't need to wear your eyeshadow for more than 6 hours at a time, and you know that this is a brand that you want to try, sure, purchase them. I just don't think that they're worth it, in my opinion. I just don't think that they're worth it. I hate saying that because I love Fenty as a brand, but these just are not it. I don't know why, but I wanted all the outcry out there to be wrong. I wanted to love them. I will say, I think that 10 is better than 4. I think the longevity and the workability is better than 4, but I will say that even though it's better than 4, and it is one that came out later, even though it's better than 4, I just don't also think that it's worth $25 for 6 shadows in the Fenty lineup. I just don't think that this is where they've made their mark. Packaging on it is so smart. I love the fact that you can, you know, snap them together. I love that each one of them has a really nice mirror on it, that it's not so heavy that you can't like hold it up and use it while you're out and about. For travel, it's amazing. They snap closed, so there's no like, oopsie, it fell open, the magnet didn't stick, like while it's in your bag. So for travel purposes, they are phenomenal. I love the packaging of these guys. Hard plastic. I don't particularly love the white of them, but they are made of a material that is easily wiped off. You can, you know, easily clean these palettes. The best in the number 4 palette, I felt, from a perspective of work the best, didn't get patchy, I didn't have to pack it on super, is this one here, which is called a Sleepova, and it is a really light pale pink, and I did wear it on the all matte eye look on my eyelid, and it looked beautiful. I do love it. I did use it a lot to also blend out the other shadows in the palette. I liked it a lot. The worst in here is Diva Fiva, which is the glitter. Even though I liked the glitter, even though the glitter surprised me, it was a wee bit scratchy. I probably didn't need to put it on the inner part of my lid. And when my eye watered and this kind of like seeped into where my eye was watering, it created kind of a crust, which is so gross. It's so gross to even talk about, and I'm a little embarrassed talking to you about it. But it created a crust that was kind of like, you know, when you get sleep in your eye, only worse. It wasn't good. And it wasn't as spectacular as I would anticipate a glitter to be. It just, I don't know, it's just not pretty. It's just not pretty. I mean, you guys can hopefully see all the glitter just kind of migrates into one spot. I will say that I did think that it was kind of unique that if you packed this on, it would not go all over your face like most glitters do, but you guys can see my finger. I did try and blend it onto my hand, and all the glitter is on my finger. So don't blend it. It won't go where you want it to go. The best in the green one, I think, is this one here, which is the dark like emerald green. It's called Fat Pockets, and that is what it looks like. It is a beautiful shimmer. It also performs very well in an eye look. It blends beautifully. It is a really pretty shimmer. goes great in an eye look. The worst in this one was this one called Rubber Bands. What I would also say about this one is it wasn't a dark enough brown to live in this palette. I think that this and Rubber Bands, so this little light green and Rubber Bands are the only two mattes in this palette. And I do have both of them on my eye look today. I just don't think that this olive toned brown works as well as it should for an all green palette. It needed to be like a darker chocolate one or warm toned darker brown in order to be impactful in an eye look that has all these greens in it, because it just kind of blends in and becomes another green. I would have, and doesn't really show up, it doesn't help in any way contour an eye look. With that said, it also just kind of becomes patchy as you blend it around on your eye look. I didn't enjoy that color at all. For the most part though, the rest of these shades in here, I loved the shimmers in this palette. I thought that this green was beautiful. I thought even this yellow went beautifully into, I think it was this green, and this green that I put on an eyelid look that looks very similar to this one, honestly, that you guys will see a picture of. And I just love the gradient that it had, and it looked stunning. And those shimmers stayed on my lid, whereas the mattes had already like went away. Those shimmers stayed on my lid for quite some time. These are definitely best with a primer. Don't even think about them without a primer. They only last before significant fading on your eye look for about 2 hours. If you are doing it without a primer, you'll be lucky if you get an hour out of them. They are not shadows that I would suggest you wear if you're going to work, but they, you know, for an 8-hour day, but they are shadows that if you're going out on the town, they might do kindly for you. They might last as long as you need them to. Let's do the swatches real quick. So for the green palette, the first one we have here is Fat Pockets, and this is a shimmer like emerald green. Then we have this one here. This one here is called Need Receipts. It is a beautiful like kind of yellow toned green. I would say chartreuse, but it's not as bright as a chartreuse, so it's kind of got this like mossy green color to it. It's beautiful, and it's just shimmer. Then we have this one, which is a matte, and it is called Time is Money, and it is a like mossy green or sage green matte. It's not spectacular. You guys hopefully can see that in the swatch. Then we have Rubber Bands, which is the olive toned brown. In this, it is also a matte, and again, not spectacular. You guys can see down towards the bottom of the swatch, it just kind of blends away. And then we have that one, which is called Direct Deposit. It is the green that is all over my eyelid today. I do think that it's a pretty green. It's a little bit darker than that matte though, the matte sage green, which I also think is a problem in this palette. There isn't a shade that's matte that appears darker in the eye look than the shimmers. And I like a darker matte to help accentuate or contour my shimmers, and there just wasn't. I used a moss green eyeliner in this look today to give it some kind of definition, because there just isn't a color in this palette that helps give that definition. All right, and the last one is the gold, and it is called Flash Money, and it is a really pretty, more chartreusey, more lime green, yellow gold. Again, I will say I did enjoy the green palette a lot more than I enjoyed the pink one. As far as blendability, I found that they worked a little easier with each other. They don't create voids or anything, but the patchiness is a little bit aggravating. And when you're blending a shade onto your eye and they're high end, you don't expect them to blend away. I do expect that with Morphe, but I don't expect that with Fenty for sure. All right, so the shades in the pink one, the first one is Sleepova, and that is just a real pale pink. I don't know that you can even see it in an eye look. It does have to be packed on for the pigmentation that exists in the pan. This one is Little Miss. It is also a matte. It is a really pink matte. It's a beautiful pink matte. Then we have this one here, which is called Stunt Queen. I loved this shimmer. It is so, so pretty. It's got kind of this rustiness to it, almost grungy pink color to an eye look that gives a little bit of definition to the eyes. But again, this is a shimmer. I want my mattes to be darker than my shimmers. This one is another one that kind of feels the same as that other one. They're very similar in tone, but you can tell the difference between the two in an eye look. One is a little more pinky, one is a little more rusty. It is called Sugar Shock. And it is really pretty. I did enjoy using this shadow as well. And then this one is another matte in that palette, and it is called Spice Trip. I used this one a lot in conjunction with this palette, thinking that it was brown enough that it would go well in this palette, and it just didn't. It didn't look good because it is too pink. And then this one is the glitter again. Is beautiful, and it does have a nice pink base to it, but that's all that's left on your eye look. Once the day goes away, it does last. It does have a longer wear to it than the mattes do. It fades away off of your eye look and does not look attractive. Like I said, it kind of fades away on your eye look and leaves kind of like a film or a crust around it. I was able to produce some really great eye looks out of these. I have to be honest with you, every single time I wore these shadows, I got compliments on my eye looks. But I cannot express how long I spent putting together an eye look that I shouldn't have had to spend putting together an eye look just to make it work, because these shadows wanted to just kind of fade away as I was blending them. You guys can see that the green here does stain just a smidge. It doesn't stay stained for very long. It does go away after second cleanse in your skincare routine, but it does stain a smidge bit. It does have a little bit of stay behind to it. I think that unless something drastically changes with Fenty as a brand for their eyeshadows, this being my experience with her eyeshadows, I will probably never purchase another eyeshadow palette from Fenty again, unless I hear that they've done something different with their formulation. Then I might try them again. I will never buy another Snap Shadow. I would be hard pressed to buy another Fenty eyeshadow palette, period. So with that said, I'm gonna go find my new palette for the next week, and I'll be back to you in just 1 second. So I have had this palette in my collection for like almost since it came out. I think I bought it approximately the same time it came out, and I haven't even touched it yet. So and it is an easy, I think, color story for me to use. I think the grays will give me some challenge, but I'm excited for it. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't even used that yet, and I would really love to. So it's also a smaller palette, so it'll be, I travel this week. We have our regional VP in town, so we'll be traveling with her, and I'm excited to have something to take with me as far as doing my makeup goes that'll be easy for me to use. So I am going to use this. This is the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral palette, and if you have this palette, I would be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on it. If you have any of the Snap Shadows by Fenty, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it as well. Them, whatever. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on either the Fenty or the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral palette, since that will be the one that I am reviewing next week. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that if you did, you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. Really does help our channels out here. I hope that if you do that, that you will also consider subscribing to my channel before you go. I hope that you enjoyed your time here, and I hope that if you subscribe to my channel that you're also going to want to hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time I upload a video. I would hate for you to subscribe and never see me in your feed. With that said, there's about 50% of you out there that are watching that are not subscribed yet, and I just don't know what's keeping you. I implore you, please subscribe. I hope that 2021 is treating you all kindly. I hope that you are all safe and healthy and that you and yours are well. I hope that you are all out there loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.